our second senior speaker for the day. Please stand for Williams.
Good morning. Imagine I put you in a room for 15 minutes. The room had nothing but a chair, a desk, and a button. When pressed, this button would send a high voltage, electric shock. It would pulsate through your entire body, cause immense pain. Of common sense, for the 15 minutes you were in the room, you wouldn't hit the button, right? Well, according to research done in the Harvard School of Psychology, the pain of boredom will supersede the feeling of physical pain almost every time. The study showed that a person will press the button more than 90% of the time, and usually within only 3 minutes. Terrible feelings like physical pain, nausea, and heartbreak were all caused by dangerous things, but boredom is just a general disinterest in what's going on. We feel it all the time, but we never realize how important that feeling actually is. Boredom is important to me because on the surface it seems so trivial, yet it is one of the main reasons why humans have developed into the beings that they are today. Now, imagine I put you in a room with a chair, a desk, and something thousands of times more painful than an electric shock button: a website. It was in this situation last year when I had a relatively simple observation that in my mind became a revelation. While I was mindlessly guessing the numbers to produce that infamous green check, for some reason, still unbeknownst to me, I looked at the science textbook in front of me for what it really was. In my moment of boredom, instead of seeing the object that had caused me such despair and anxiety, I saw a collection of thousands of years of knowledge, with hundreds of the greatest minds ever to live who poured their hearts and souls into those concepts. At the same time, I looked up and I saw my teacher, who I realized studied the subject for many years and had a passion for it far, far stronger than any of my own passions. It was in this simple moment of boredom when my revelation came to me, and it resulted in my exploration of the possibilities of the mind when bored. Now, just as I was studying science when I had my breakthrough moment, I started my research on the scientific aspects of boredom. Unlike most topics, though, I found the scientific aspect simple and straightforward. Shockingly, I found that when bored, overall brain activity only drops about 5%. But in this bored state, MRI scans show us that the parts of the brain responsible for creating hypothetical events, imagining, had greatly increased activity. This fact leads us all the way back to prehistoric times. In those times, humans were the only species who were able to find food, water, and shelter so effectively that there was time left in the day to think, ponder, and maybe have the ability to experience a hint of boredom. Just like I did in that classroom, prehistoric humans were able to have the same types of revelations, except for them, it was fire, tools, even civilization. This boredom could very well be what pushed us as a species away from those instinctive cycles and propelled us into the successful species that we are today. Now, after learning that, I was intrigued, no doubt. I hope you are. But how did that help me? Although I know we all feel like it sometimes, we're not in a population of prehistoric cavemen. I'm just a high school student who deals with boredom in my day-to-day life. The scientific understanding of boredom just didn't cut it for me. I needed to understand what boredom means, not just how it occurs. When studying the philosophical side of boredom, I found two schools of thought. The first was a rather dismal way of thinking, that if life actually had any real value or any content whatsoever, we should never feel bored. Or in contrast, others said that boredom is one of the most sublime emotions, as it shows that the human spirit and mind is greater than anything the universe has to offer us. Now, I'm not sure if I completely agree with either, but as I was reading through these old documents I had writings from great philosophers like Schopenhauer and Leopardi. I kept thinking to myself, simply, it's not that deep. It's really not that deep. Because the boredom I feel and the boredom that we feel as high school students isn't that same profound boredom that ancient philosophers felt. It's that feeling of indifference, detachment, maybe even pointlessness when we're in the middle of class, lunch, heck, even a party. It's not that we don't see the value in our surroundings. It's just that there's something much more important going on in our own heads, more demanding than everything going on around us. In those seemingly pointless moments of boredom, that's when the real beauty of boredom actually shines. In those moments, the brain enters what's called the default mode. It is this mode that sets you to your most foundational and basic state. And your personality is at its core. In those moments of boredom, your brain is at its most malleable, as it is accessing its most basic thought process. Now, I remember what parents, mentors, and motivational speakers told me about high school. When I look over at the freshman class, I know you guys have heard the same thing. They said, high school's where you find yourself, right? But it's not true, because there's no you that's out there floating around in the cosmos. Everything you want and everything you achieve is created. It's not found. It took me 17 and a half years to realize that you have to create yourself. It is how, in those most basic moments of seemingly pointless boredom, that you make the decisions as to who you really are. You can choose to fill those moments with creativity, ambition, and brilliance. But if in those moments of blissful boredom, you think mean thoughts, destructive thoughts, that's the type of person you'll be. On the other hand, if you think ideas, you think goals, and you think success, that's the person you'll become. And that is the person that I want to go to school with. If you take away only one thing from my comments today, it should be that in those tiny, those insignificant moments where your brain is at its most basic, that's where you create who you are. Next time you're bored, please don't let it go to waste. Understand that in that moment, you have the potential to take a step towards the person you have always wanted to create. Embrace the boredom. Thank you.